Here we go. Let me take a little sip of my turmeric. So get something right with it. You cannot help it. Nah, it's just pushing a record button. That's the only technical difficulties I have. I just suck. Let me get a little more lighting. All right. Focus cam. Hey everyone, welcome to the Rich Get Richer. My name is Mr. Richard, the host that try to bring you everything that's happening in today's market and today's business. And today we have a very special guest. It is Miss Susan, and she's going to talk to you about her journey and how she became an entrepreneur and everything that life lessons that you can use and adapt to yourself. And if you wanted to become an entrepreneur or you wanted to own your own business and or even possibly own a franchise and buy a franchise, she is the woman to go to. So without further ado, Miss Susan, how are you doing today?
Doing great. Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it. We met at the Boots to Business program at MacDill Air Force Base, correct?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah,
So,
yeah, go ahead, go ahead. Yeah, you got it.
so I've been, I see there's a lot of people on here that aren't here in Tampa, that they're outside the city, but I've been in Tampa for a long time. And I used to be the largest wireless agent here in Tampa Bay. So if anybody here is in Tampa Bay, you probably, if you've been in Tampa a long time, you probably bought a phone for my business. Hopefully, I had 4 stores with 42 employees, did about 7.5 million in sales. But one of the things that I learned from that first business, which you don't know, Richard, though, is that I got in a mentor protege program, and Chris Sullivan of Outback Steakhouse, one of the founders, was my mentor. And they still do that program today through the Tampa Chamber and the Small Business Development Center. But what that taught me was how important it was to have a coach or a mentor or someone to help you. So when you and I met at the Boost to Business program, and you told me you did this podcast on entrepreneurship, I thought, I wish when I was starting my first business that I had those kind of tools. So, congratulations for you doing this and putting the time and energy into doing this. I appreciate it. Well, it's impressive. I mean, it's, you can be doing other things with your time. So thank you for that. So I've been an entrepreneur. I'll just say, you'll figure my age, but I've been an entrepreneur for 40 years. So really all my life. And when I sold my business after my first business after 17 years, I was like, well, what am I going to do next? I never thought anybody'd hire me after being my own boss. So I invested in a franchise, and I've actually owned this franchise for 22 years, and it's called the Entrepreneur Source. And so one of the reasons that I speak at MacDill Air Force Base is to their Boost to Business program is to help the military, the veterans that are retiring, explore franchising as a career option. So I know not everybody on this podcast is a veteran, but for veterans, there are discounts through the franchise fee, and there's also special funding. So I can talk more about that, but basically what I do is I help people for free explore franchises. And then if my clients go forward with the franchise I recommend, we get paid by the franchise company. So there's no cost to our clients. We actually get a percentage of the franchise fee, which is the same, except for the veterans get a discount. And then we help you discover options you may not discover because there's 4,000 franchises out there in 80 different industries. So that's my value, is sort of like a financial advisor where you narrow it down and help people identify opportunities and help them with, where their focus is. So I guess for the purpose of what we're doing today, I'd feel more comfortable, maybe, Richard, if you want to ask me some questions, or if you want to have some other people ask me some questions, but that's sort of give you my background, if that helps.
Yes, ma'am. Appreciate that. So that's pretty dope. That's super impressive. You don't meet a lot of people that have just been doing uh, it at a high level as an entrepreneur out here trying to do their thing and be successful because a lot of times being successful is about the long game. It ain't about the short spurts of winning, or the short spurts about the money that you make. You might make good money one year, but in the next 2-3 years, you might be in the bucket. And just maintaining consistency over a long period of time is really super impressive to see that. And then but just how did you become an entrepreneur? Because I know that, some people just have it and some people don't. Some people say you have to be taught. Some people say you're just born that way. But how did, you started off with the cell phone companies. How did that come about? Is just something that you just saw a niche in, you saw a market, you saw a demand for it, or how did it work?
Well, that's an interesting question. So part of it was my growing up, my father wanted to be an entrepreneur, but got married at 18 and, had 3 kids, so needed to work. So he really encouraged his children to be entrepreneurs. So that was part of it, having that encouragement from the very beginning, I think. And then, be honest with you, I put myself through undergraduate and graduate school. So, to me, doing something like that is really tough to go to school and work. I mean, today, I don't think I could do it today, the cost of school, but then, I realized that if I could do that, I could do anything I set my mind to. So I worked for 3 different companies and they were small companies. And I was like, well, these guys didn't seem all that smart to me. They just were hiring the right people and the right talent. They didn't have a college education. Most of these guys, I'm not kidding. They were small companies, but they hired some great talent, and I just watched what they did, and I thought, well, if they could do it, I could do it. So I actually did find someone that had money. He actually owned, he had 4-car stereo and car alarm stores, and he had been an agent, but he never really could grow the business. So I approached him and I said, let's be partners and I'll grow your wireless business, and you give me the money and we'll split it. And that's really how it started. And then eventually I bought him out, and then I opened up all my own stores. But
Did you have any experience in the cell phone market,
oh,
or you just saw like a niche and you saw opportunity and you just capitalized on it, or how did that?
oh, that's I did leave that part out. So yeah, I was selling communication systems to hospitals, and I was on straight commission. And I thought, well, if I'm going to be on straight commission, maybe now's the time to consider it. But I went to work for someone because I was just practicing interviewing, and they were getting in the cell phone business. So I thought it was just like for the fun of it, and I went to work for them. I wasn't even making that much money. I just thought it was funny to get in that business when it first started. And so I did work for someone for about 3 years before I went out on my own, but it was by accident. I just wanted to do something different, and I thought it would just be fun. It didn't even pay that well, but I just saw the future in the cell phone business because I got in it when they first turned it on in the United States. I don't know, Richard, if you remember the car phones, but we used to install the phones in the car.
Yeah, you was telling me a story about how like you had to solve a problem because whenever you was installing cell phones and car phones, you kept drilling into tanks, and you wanted to fix that problem. How did you alleviate that problem?
So that was, yeah. So when I got in the business, nobody knew how to install car phones. So you know, I was partners at the guy with the car alarm and the car stereo. So these guys should be able to figure it out. But they kept putting holes in the gas tank because they've never done car phones either. So I just said to them, well, if you can figure out by the end of the week how not to put holes in the gas tanks, you all get bonuses. Well, of course, they figured it out, and they all got bonuses that never happened again. But I just always learned ways to empower people. Usually money's a good incentive,
Yeah,
but sometimes other things. But
financially,
let people figure it out for themselves, because I wasn't going to be able to figure it out, and I really didn't care. I figured just let them do their job.
yeah, financial perks is always a good incentive. But it showed you that entrepreneur mindset that you saw opportunity, you had an obstacle, and then you hired the individuals to fix the problem, and they got it done. You said, "Here's what I want. Here's what I'll give you," and they went out and did it. If you'd have just said, "Yo, y'all just figure it out," they probably wouldn't have done it. But you gave them incentive. You dangled the carrot in front of their face, and they kind of got to it. So that's pretty cool. So just let the people know, man. Like everybody has obstacles, right? And then you just figure it out, and just pivot and go from there. You know what I mean? So that's just part of being an entrepreneur. And we have a lot of people in here, and it's funny you talked about mentorship, because I think that everybody needs to look up to somebody. For years, I really didn't believe in mentorship. I just thought, man, I just figured out myself, because no one understands what I'm going through except me. But getting out there and from social media and stuff like that, I've noticed that there are tons of like-minded people like myself, and there's a lot of people out there that actually want to learn this stuff or do this stuff on a high level. And we all run into similar issues. So why are you trying to figure this stuff out yourself? Why don't you learn from people that already experience and who have done it, and ride their kind of coattail on certain issues, because it's a learning curve, and or it saves on time and money. But you talked about you had a mentor, and like, how did that go? Because it sounds like that's a pretty big person. Was he big then, or you just happened to, was he like talking like the uprise, or how did you come across that?
You're pretty intuitive to ask me that question, to be honest with you, because um, he wasn't as big as everybody knows Outback Steakhouse to be now, but because Tampa Bay was their founding, restaurant.
Oh, I
And
didn't know that. That's cool.
so yeah, they were on in Tampa, they were on Henderson. I think they're still there today, the very first location. But um, so what happened is that he had, I think, several restaurants, but I didn't feel that he should be my mentor, because I was like, well, I have the wireless business. What that has to do with the restaurant business? I didn't want anything to do with him. And the gal, her name was Gloria, that was in charge of the mentorship program, called me up and said, you're going to take him as your mentor and you're going to thank me, and hung up on me. And so when I met with him, I was just, I told him, I said, well, um, I felt a little bit uncomfortable, and I wasn't sure like how this was going to work and all this. Well, basically he said this, and this is so simple. All businesses have staff. All business has accounting. All businesses need marketing. All businesses have customers. All businesses have all these same things in common, just different products or services, right? So it was the best experience. I tripled my business in the millions in 1 year, because a mentor and a coach helps you get beyond your roadblocks that maybe you don't even notice. And in my case, it was really just confidence. I just didn't have the confidence that I could do all the things, and he helped me have believe in myself and not worry about being so young, and being successful, and not having the support that you guys have now. You can go to college now and get an entrepreneurial degree. That didn't, that wasn't there when I went to college. So there's a lot of great tools that you have. But I will say, to this day, I'm still in a mentorship group. I belong to the CEO Council of Tampa Bay. And you have to do 3 million in sales or more a year, and have 26 or more employees to be a member. And that group, I still go to a monthly roundtable, and I still have mentors. So what I'm trying to say is that no matter how long you've been an entrepreneur, you always have mentors and people helping you in your career. So I think that's important.
Oh man, that's
Long
crazy.
answer, huh?
I ain't never heard of that group. Maybe because I ain't got the 3 million in sales. I need to step my game up. I'll just stand in the back and tell them I'm your driver or something, and then I'll just listen. Act like I'm playing on my cell phone, and I'll listen to and I'll be like recording the same time. But I mean, that's pretty cool. I tell people all the time, your network is your net worth, right? The individuals you hang around, or the people you associate with, are the individuals that will help you get to that next level, because you should always be surrounding yourself with those individuals who are doing the similar things to you, and you'll be surprised of the problem that comes up in your situation, or comes up in your business, or comes up in your journey, that someone's already accomplished, and or somebody's already went through, and they can pretty much guide you or help you walk through. Even if you can just have them via text message, it's super helpful and super important to have somebody that you can reach out to and just bounce ideas off of, and just that type of stuff like that. So I kind of commend you on that. And even though you're super successful, you still interact with other individuals, other entrepreneurs, and especially locally. A lot of times things are via Skype or via social media, but just that face-to-face interaction, nothing can replace that. Nothing really can beat that. But so let's get started talking about like how you help individuals in with their journey. If they wanted to get into business or look into franchises or buying existing franchises or even buying, a franchise from the company, like what do you like specialize in, and or like what's your ideal client, or what individuals are you looking for?
Well, and one of the things that I when I do my presentations, and I know I was looking at some of the chats, some people maybe own businesses that are on this with us tonight. It looks like some people are looking at maybe buying a business. So I do want to cover a couple things that I talk about on a regular basis. And then one of the things is when you're exploring, deciding what you're going to do, whether it's expand your existing business or buy a business, we have this acronym called the ILWE, which stands for income, lifestyle, wealth, and equity. So when people start doing a business plan, which you always are doing as business plan, even if you're expanding your business, you want to have your criteria in place. So part of what I do as a career ownership coach is what we like to call ourselves, is help people define what kind of income do you want to earn. What do you want it to look like your first, second, third year, and be specific. Um, income, wealth isn't money. Wealth is what I call priceless possibilities. You want flexibility in your schedule. You don't want to work evening and weekends. What is it what's your wealth? For me, it was more time to travel, a lot more vacations. So to me, that's a priceless possibility. That's what I consider wealth. Even just being able to set your own schedule for some people feels like wealth, right? Look, so, and then equity is important as well, correct? Because you want one of the reasons to own a business is to have an appreciating asset. And then you have to consider your lifestyle. What's important to you? What do you want that to look like? So really envisioning what you want your goals to be, and then you can look at franchises that match that. So what I'm really saying to you is you can design your perfect dream business, and it really can happen, because that's what happened to me. So I'll just tell you one thing you don't know about me is I have my master's in social work administration. So being a social worker and entrepreneur, I don't know if they really go hand in hand, because I wasn't making a lot of money as a social worker, but I like helping people. I like making a difference. I can't imagine once I sold my wireless business and I made the money because I wasn't making money. So that's really, I thought that was the most important thing. So, but once you make it, then I was like, well, what else is important to me? Well, I wanted to go back to where I felt like I was helping people. No offense, I enjoyed the wireless business, but I don't know if I really helped anybody selling them a cell phone. But in this business, I changing people's lives and their families' lives for the rest of their lives, because self-employment is a place that I think most people are going to be forced into if they don't aspire to it, because corporate America wasn't designed. Now I'm going to get on my soapbox, but it wasn't designed to get you to financial security and retirement, because we're living 25 to 30 years into retirement. So what do we do with that time, and how much money do we need to save? In reality, corporate America is just not paying people enough, and you can't save enough in retirement. And that's probably why you do this show that you do, Richard,
Yeah,
because you probably recognize that as well.
yeah. I read this one book. It was called Time is Money, and all throughout the book, it would just give us statistics. I'm a math guy, you know what I mean. So you give me a statistic, it'll stick with me for damn near forever. And one of the statistics was that 3% of all millionaires work a 9 to 5, and those out of those 3%, they're high net. They make high salaries. So like the doctors, the lawyers, the CPAs, the anesthesiologists, those type of individuals make the majority of the money, who are millionaires. And so for the average person, unless you're probably in like some type of sales field as a employee, you're probably not gonna reach that level of income. So I just learned then that I got to get out here and do something different, because this ain't it. You know what I mean? Because you can, because at the end of the day, the employer cares about their bottom line, and it cares about their shareholders. They don't really care about you as an employee. And when you turn 60, even though I think they just raised the retirement level from 62 and a half, I think, to 64. I think they're probably talking about raising it to 66. when you can start drawing Social Security and or all that other kind of stuff. But even then, the average life expectancy has gone up damn near 11 years or some crap in the last 30 years because we're eating cleaner, we're more educated, and all this other kind of stuff like that. And we work out more, and we're more outdoorsy, and we understand the benefits of being healthy, and we want long longevity lives. And but if you don't have the income to support that life, what kind of life are you living? You know, you be 70 years old, still working, and everybody in the chat or everybody in this live has seen that. You've gone to the Walmarts, or you go to the McDonald's, or you go to a restaurant, and it's like a 70, 80-year-old person there still working, and you're thinking to yourself, man, what did they do, or what changed in their life to where they have to work at such an old age? They're probably going to die on their feet. You know what I mean? So I told myself at a younger age I didn't want to be like that. So I had to figure out something, and I just went from there. So.
Well, not everybody, but I will say one thing I've discovered is, as enthusiastic as I am about entrepreneurship, I do realize not everybody, that's not something they do aspire to. And that's one of the things. So, or some people will say, well, I just don't really have a good idea. So that's really me. I never really had a good idea. I got into the cell phone business, but the agent program was by the carrier. So that was a type of a license, like a business license opportunity. Franchising is a license, it's just a franchise license. But so being an agent was a license business. And so the agent program was designed by the wireless carriers. So I became an agent. Now I'm a franchisee. So I'm an entrepreneur without any good ideas. I just know how to run a business. So that was the other thing I liked about franchising, because you can take your background and skill sets and experiences and change industries. So for me to start another business and something I've never done before, that's what appealed to me about franchising. I knew I didn't want to be in food, even though Chris Sullivan introduced me to it. I knew I didn't really want to do food, but there's 4,000 franchises. And I do want to say this, because I think this will, people, if you don't know about franchising, you don't have to spend a lot of money to make a lot of money. If you look outside retail and food, most of the investments are between $50,000 to $100,000. And that includes your franchise fee and your working capital the first year. So that's the secret. One of the secrets to success in franchising is they make sure you're well capitalized for the first year so you stay in business, because a lot of small businesses fail, not because they're not a good idea, they just undercapitalized. They don't know how much money they need to spend. So,
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, it was pretty good. Is like the low level of entry. You can take a little income or a little amount of assets, and then control your own business, which is in charge of pretty much your own destiny. And with different types of programs out there, and like what we teach is how to raise funds for that initial down payment, or to offset that cost. So, and then you talked about funding too. Like, do you talk about funding as like the SBA or like the business acquisition portion, or you talk about like the down payment portion, or like what do you typically see in your business when you try to help people get that?
In addition to cash,
Yeah.
sometimes I have clients pay cash, but a lot of people say, well, $50,000 to $100,000 is a lot to start a business, but that's really what you're investing in, is a business systems that have already been proven to be successful. So they already have it all done for you. You don't have to pay for your website, your marketing materials, the technology they use to run the business. So that's, so when people start a business, they say, well, I only have 2,000 to start a business. I'm not saying you can't do that. It's just that the ramp up is going to be longer, and you're going to need money to continue to run the business. So because of that, franchising, because they have such a high success rate, has special funding through the SBA. So we can get our clients up to $150,000, because that way they not only can cover their expenses the first year, but they can pay themselves a salary with 10% down. So for $15,000, you can get into a franchise. And for my military, for my veterans, they don't have to have as the net worth and credit score criteria. It doesn't have to be as high as a civilian. So that's the advantage for my military loan, and they save money on the bank fees. But other than that, either you're a civilian or a veteran, you can get up to $150,000 with just
Okay. Okay. So,
15,000.
so let me get this straight, because I always like to weigh the pros and cons, because I see a lot of individuals who have, some money saved up and or have decent credit scores, but they don't have any direction, or they'll say, "Oh, I don't think I have enough." So what you're saying is essentially with $15,000 of a cash injection, 10% down on the SBA loan, that'll get you pretty much into the door of a franchise. And a lot of these fees, if we have some vets in here, I know for sure that probably want to look at the franchises, and they probably thinking themselves they got to have like 50, 100,000. A lot of people think the level of entry is ridiculously high. And I tell them all the time that, you just have to know the right people. You have to know the individuals to talk to. You need to have the proper conversations, and you need to be led to the individuals that can kind of get you pointed to the right direction. A lot of times it's about what you really want and what you want to do, because you kind of talked about it a little bit, what's important to you, right? Like we was evaluating a business. It wasn't a franchise, but I think it was like a dog grooming services. And I tell people, like, I don't like dogs that much, but if but if it was $1 million business that's doing $700,000 of net income, I don't care how much money it's making. That, like, if I don't like animals, I don't like animals. You shouldn't do anything for the money, because eventually, inevitably, like she said, I say it all the time, once you start making money, the money won't be important no more. You will have to find other things that you want to do. She talked about traveling. Some people talk about spending more time with their family. Some people talk about work-life balance. You have to find out why you're doing this financial and entrepreneurial journey, and then kind of reverse engineer and go from there, right? You know the goal, figure out how to get there, and get into an industry that you probably will somewhat enjoy, or you have some experience in, or something that makes you want to get out the bed and want to go to work versus just, oh, I'm just going here because it makes a lot of money. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of glad that you brought up that point, and you brought up the level of entry on that business. But like, so on franchises, so like, do people come to you and you kind of guide them on, you got to give them different options, or people just come to you and say, I want this right here, and that's what I want, and I don't want nothing else? Or like, what do you typically get? What kind of client do you typically, whenever they call you or want to do a consultation with you and stuff like that?
Well, sometimes I do get people that have some ideas, but I do want to say this before I forget. There's another funding option. It's called rollover for startup businesses. And you can do this for a franchise. You can do this for an independent business, where you can actually take either TSP money for our veterans or your 401k or IRA, and you can do what's called a self-directed IRA, where you can actually convert money from your retirement. Instead of buying shares of stock in Wall Street, you can buy shares of stock in your own company. So it's a conversion, and there's no penalties. And Peter Thiel, who started PayPal, he started PayPal by converting his money from his retirement to a self-directed Roth, because he felt he was going to be in a lower tax bracket the first year he started the business. He has $5 billion in his Roth. That's PayPal. So that program is, I've been doing this program for 22 years with my clients, and I placed a gal in a short-term property rental business 7 years ago, $100,000 total investment. 7 years later, she's selling it now for 1.8 million. She's made about 500,000 a year over the last several years. So she took that $100,000 conversion from her retirement, bought shares of stock in her business that's now a $3 million plus return on investment between what she earned and what she's selling it for. You can't do that in Wall Street. So that's the reason to own a business, to have an appreciating asset. So that's a memorable story, hopefully.
Yeah. Oh, it is memorable. Making
She came to
$500,000 a year.
me.
Making $500,000 a year for $100,000. I'm sure it is.
But she came to me, she comes from the medical device industry, and she worked with her father and decided to leave and go out on her own, and she wanted to do something different. So everybody's, passions and desires, I take that information and I can match, different opportunities that'll match their skill sets. When the veterans come after being in the military for 24, some of them lately have been 28 years, which surprises me, but they've been a long time. And, I can take what they've done in the military and translate their skill sets and their passions into different franchise possibilities. So that's really, I hate to say the magic, but it's the magic of what I do, because I'm able to help people learn about options they wouldn't have considered, sort of look outside the box. So 95% of my clients that go forward with the franchise go forward with one that they didn't think that necessarily was for them. And I was a client too myself, and that's what happened to me. I didn't see the entrepreneur source. I was leaning towards retail because that's what I know. I never thought about having a home-based business.
Yeah, and
Can't get me out of my house now. No.
yeah. So what's kind of crazy about that is that when individuals, hopefully y'all reach out, whoever's watching this, y'all reach out to her. What she can do is open your mind and take the blinders off and get you looking at paths you might not even thought of, or just get you looking at stuff that you was thinking to yourself that this was an industry that was pretty much untapped, or just even like she was telling me last time we spoke, that there's franchises in things that you didn't even know what franchises, that there was franchises in, right? Just so like she was saying, like the woman who bought the short-term rental, like there's a franchise that specializes in short-term rentals. I thought that you just go out and try to figure it out on your own. You try to do your own Airbnb setup, or you just find a house in some desired location and you just buy it or try to rent it out or do arbitrage and all kind of stuff like that. But if they already have a system in place and you pretty much plug and play in someone else's system for a low level amount of cash injection, I mean, why not? Why reinvent the wheel when the wheel is already pretty much for sale and pretty much already just be pushed down the hill? You already can get into a system that's already up and going. So I always try to push buying existing or buying franchises on people, because it's no point of trying to redo this and, oh man, I got this great location, I can go do this, I can go do that. No, man, you run an uphill battle. The stuff's already out there. Just take some of that stuff and you have a higher level of success,
So so I've got some questions here. My services are free because I get paid by the franchise company. And so it never gets added to your investment. So I'm a free service. And my value is to help you navigate those 4,000 franchises in 80 different industries. I make the recommendation. So I know someone has asked me for examples, but the examples that I might give may not resonate with you because it may not be something for you, because we work with the top 200. And so I can't go over all 200, but that's really the unique thing of what I do, is like a financial advisor where I make the recommendations. Because versus giving you a list and then you pick out what you like and you don't like, I'm matching them to your background and skill sets. Matter of fact, I do a behavioral assessment. We do the executive version of the DISC profile, and there's a section on your driving forces, and that helps me and you really learn about your preferences, as well as when you look at your driving forces, what motivates you, what makes you, energized in what you do every day. So that helps me with getting to know you and matching what you prefer to do. So for example, my veterans have been in the military, especially for 28 years. They're going to want to look at things that are well established in most cases. They're not going to want to look at emerging brands. But then I have a lot of clients that want to be part of the emerging brands, because those are the newer industries that are emerging. Like when I got in the cell phone industry, that was an emerging industry. Everybody told me not to do it. Right when I first got in, that's another part of the story. Then look where cell phones are today. I never even thought kids would have cell phones. So, but let me think of some examples. So I placed a veteran just recently. Again, he was in the military, I think 24 years, and he's doing a swimming pool franchise. But that's not really what the business model. The business model is he gets to be outdoors. He has multiple revenue streams because they don't just clean pools. They offer service pools, right? They do repairs, and he actually can get into pool construction if he really wants to take it to the next level. So, but it's multiple revenue streams. He's really good with operations, so he can take his operations experience and manage those teams that are going to clean the pool. He's not going to be cleaning the pool, right? Just like I wasn't going to install the car phones.
Yeah.
So we call that working on the business, not in the business. But I'll guarantee you that if I said to him, like showed him a list with a pool cleaning company, he wouldn't pick it off of the list. but if you know his background and experience, it makes a lot of sense. And the funny thing is, he didn't even clean his own pool now, and he's never going to clean his own pool. He's going to have his company clean his pool.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I do a lot of things in the home service industry because that's really exploding. So anything, with home repair, I have something really unique. I love this business model because it's a rental. So once they rent the product from you, they just keep paying you rent every day, every week, every month, like Bob's Barricades. Remember Bob's Barricades? I always wanted that business because they kept knocking them down and had to be replaced. So, and this is a temporary wall business where they put in these temporary walls when they do construction. So for like hotels or hospitals or, the airport, they used them at the airport. They used them at the Vinoy Hotel when they were doing construction in the Vinoy and they were still open. So that's a great model because you keep making money once you install the walls. One of my clients I placed up in Detroit came from the casino industry. He placed them for 18 months. He's going to get paid 24/7. So I love that kind of a model. So sorry if I'm getting a little enthusiastic.
No.
I like talking about franchises.
You fine, man. Like, hey, if you talking, people are gathering the information and it's getting the head, getting the wheels turning because a fence rental business, Gasparilla every year, whoever rents those fences out that blocks all these millionaires' houses, somebody's making money off that. And whenever we do, every time I see like a porta potties and like an event or something like that, somebody rents out those porta potties and drops them off. And then whenever they're done, they'll clean them out and someone comes pick them up. And I talked to the guy that owns one of the porta potty businesses and he said, man, you'd be surprised how much money I make. And when people start saying like, you'd be surprised, I know for sure that they're bringing in some serious dough. But it's just just knowing that those type of opportunities are out there. So I recommend all the people who were here to get her contact information and reach out to her because she's pretty much the one-stop shop. So she gets you, go over franchises. She gets you see if what requirements you have, go over what credit score you need to acquire a business, and help you with funding, or help you go into the right direction and all that kind of stuff. And pretty much any type of financial journey you want to get into, reach out to her. And even if you might just have one or two questions and you think, oh man, this is a dumb question, you never know. You'd be surprised of what someone can, you can ask somebody and what they can tell you about their business or talk about a different process just to open your mind. Because a lot of this stuff is about just getting information. And once you gather that information, you apply it or make it applicable to your life. And then you just take that information and try to, make a educated decision from there. But if you are interested in getting a franchise or taking an assessment or getting a counseling, give them some information about you so we can so the individuals who's watching from home or watching on whatever social media platform this is, how can they reach out to you and what steps would they need to do before they call you so they kind of get an idea of how the consultation and stuff like that's going to go.
So and I did see that. So I posted my contact information and I'll do it again. And also I'm gonna put together, let me see what I did here. My scheduling link as well. So usually what I do is I'll schedule a 30-minute meeting and you have a choice of Zoom or phone meeting. I'll let you know I prefer phone. Oh, I already did that. I'm sorry, I was trying to type and talk. So but I prefer Zoom meetings, but if you're not in a place to do Zoom, we could do a phone meeting. But it's about 30 minutes, and that way I can see whether I can help you or not. My services are free, so and obviously your time is valuable, so it's a mutual agreement whether we want to work together or not. Again, I want to clarify why I'm free because I don't know with those emojis if you felt like I was kidding or you're laughing at me. I wasn't sure all those emojis meant. So I don't have kids, so I don't know what all these emojis mean. But my services are free because we get a percentage of the franchise fee, and the franchise fee is the same whether I was to help you or not. So I do get paid. I don't really work for free, but
you get paid from the franchise.
Yes.
You don't get paid from you or the person who's buying the business.
Right.
So they have no, they can use you, but they're not, you're not making no money off them. per se. You're making money off the person you connect them with.
Right, but you're still not under any obligation to move forward. I mean, I'm excellent at what I do, but not everybody I have worked with as a client moves forward with a franchise. Part of it's for, identify whether franchising makes sense. If you have your own business idea of your own, you still might want to look at franchises that are doing the same thing to see if there's really any value. You might learn how they market it, what technology that they use. Oh, that's appreciated. Thank you for that. The DISC assessment, I use the executive version. It's and there's no charge for it. It's an expensive assessment. So I'll be happy to look at your DISC assessment. I know it's a year old, but I'd like you to do mine because these driving forces is really important. And I don't, unless they gave you the executive version, which most of these companies won't spend the money. So anyway.
Yeah, it's all good. But yeah, so those who are watching, I will put her contact information in the bio, or I'll put the link to her stuff, and I have all her information. So if you want to reach out to her, you're interested in a franchise, buying a franchise, or getting funding for a franchise, regardless if you're a vet or not. She seems like she probably catered to vets.
Or funding for the rollover too. If you have your own independent business idea and you just want help with the rollover, I'll be happy to help you with that. I don't mind.
I mean, I had a quick question about that too. Yeah. But is the rollover like is the rollover just for like initial purchase, or is it just like cash to use to fund your business as it's already going?
As much as you need, as much as you want to move over and buy shares of stock in your company. It's whatever amount you decide you want to roll over. I mean, you want to convert.
Okay.
Matter of fact, there's so much other things you can do with your retirement instead of Wall Street. You can actually buy rental home properties. You can't live in it. You can't buy vacation property and then use it. But if you have just rental properties, and I have a friend, she got her entire retirement. She has 20 rental homes.
And she just used her like 401k.
And that's all in her retirement. She's incorporated, but she bought shares of stock in her own company, and that's her retirement. So you can do that, which is a lot. I mean, I think Wall Street's gambling. I mean, I just feel like it's gambling, and it's just part of your portfolio, but it never gets people to the finish line in most cases.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's like I said, it's about options and knowing what options will work best for you. And if you think that this would be a great option to reach out to her, let's do this. Let's set something up. The link is in the bio for those who are in the chat now. You see everything and you see all the information. But if you definitely somebody that you have in your playbook, regardless if you're going to use them or you talking to someone else who's like, oh man, I'm thinking about getting the franchise. You know what? I know the person for you. You know what I mean? Regardless of if you're going to use them or someone else is going to use them. It's always good to have a play in the playbook or a feather in the cap that you can always reach out to an individual that can get you pointed in the right direction of any journey in your life. So, but we're going to wrap up this portion, but we're going to have a Q&A just right after this. But so make sure that y'all are following, because these are the type of conversations that I love having. And if you have that entrepreneur spirit that's deep down inside, and you know that you was built for more and built for something greater in life, but you just don't have any direction or want to get started, and you just don't know, reach out to us, reach out to my team, reach out to Ms. Susan, and we'll help you get started. But make sure, I'm glad you're watching. Make sure you're following if you're on social media, and I'll
people scheduled with me already.
Huh?
People scheduled with me already.
See? That's how it works. that's how it works, people. That's why we do this, right? Connecting the dots. But please make sure you're following. If you're on YouTube, Facebook, and whatever social media you're on, reach out to me. If you can't find the link, I can connect you directly and send you the link, and we can kind of go from there. But thank you for giving us an interview. I know it's we had a time conflict at first, but we're gonna make it work. But
that's my fault, not yours. But
yes, all good. But
I got to see it 9 and 9.
Yeah. But thank everybody for watching.
Thank you.
Mr. Richard, this is Richard, Miss Susan. Thank y'all, and have a blessed day.
Bye-bye.
No.